There's nothing wrong with saying it depends if you'll follow up with some education.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the program. Dustin Harris hanging out in the podcast chair. Just a quick one for you today, quick mini-sode. Questions get asked all the time. As you know, I kind of follow appraisers on social media a little bit. I belong to a few groups. And of course, we have the All-Star Team group, which has its own private Facebook page. And there's a question out there that comes up on a pretty frequent basis. And when I say a question, I mean lots of questions, but an answer comes to mind frequently. And I want to share with you a little bit about that answer and how to approach that answer, because it is something that we deal with quite often as appraisers. Want to pause? And as always, big shout out to a great sponsor here, Anow Software. Thank you, Anow, for your sponsorship. Thank you for what you do for appraisers. Anow.com is where you find out more, folks. It's ANOW.com. All right, folks, so we're talking today about the questions that you might receive from, homeowners, agents, other appraisers, regarding value mostly, but so many things. So, for example, I was on social media recently, and one of the appraisers, I don't remember if it was my Facebook page or one of the others, but one of the appraisers says, "Hey guys, what do you adjust for garage charging stations? So an electric car charging station that might be built into the garage. What kind of an adjustment do you give for something like that? We get questions all the time of, what do you do with an accessory unit? What do you do for air conditioning units? What do you do for solar? That's a big one today, right? How do you adjust for solar? Well, folks, what I find is whether this question is coming from homeowners or agents or other appraisers, the answer is always the same. And I know it's a frustrating answer. And I know, in fact, I kind of joke when I give this answer. I know, and I say things like, well, I know the answer to everything in appraisal is the following answer, but it's really the only answer that I can give you because it's the only accurate answer. That answer is, it depends. It depends on your market. It depends on buyer preference. Let me give you an example. Let's go back to the question about solar. I've done extensive research in my area over the years about solar. And though things have changed a little bit, and I really want to emphasize the little bit part of that equation, things have changed a little bit over the years. There really has not been much change when it comes to solar in Idaho. And here's the thing. Yes, it is getting a little bit more popular, but I am having a very, very hard time justifying value for solar. And folks, trust me, I've talked to Mark. Hey, shout out to Mark. Excellent expert on solar, Mark Buehler. Get a hold of that guy. He teaches some awesome classes on solar. And I've talked to him on this as well. And I don't want to get too far off into the weeds on solar. The point is in Idaho, it means something different than it does in Southern California or Arizona or Nevada. The bottom line is we have less sun here. That's just a fact. And the value of solar in Idaho is going to be different than the value of solar in your neck of the woods, perhaps. And the same is true for air conditioning in Idaho. And I know some of you who live in the southern climates you're going to be surprised when I say this, possibly, unless you understand where I live. But I would say about 40% of the houses that I appraise have air conditioning. It is not that big of a deal in our area to not have it. Folks, I've lived in my home for 10 years, and we have an air conditioning unit that's been broken for, 10 years. And I've yet to fix it, and I've not noticed a difference. It is just not that big of a deal. We're surrounded by trees. We live in a cooler climate. It's only a couple weeks out of the year that it gets over 100 in our area, and that literally is a very rare situation. It just is not that big of a deal, and as a consequence, buyers really don't. Air conditioning does not reflect much, if anything, on value. Now, in an area such as Arizona or Nevada or Southern California or Florida, that might be different. In fact, I'm assuming it is. If you have a house without air conditioning, kind of a big deal. It's kind of similar to in Idaho not having heat. You have a house without a heating system, that's kind of a big deal. Where maybe in some of those hotter climates, maybe there's homes without heating. The bottom line here is the answer to the question is it depends. It depends. I see these questions asked often by appraisers on social media, and I think they're kind of expecting an answer, a definitive answer. Hey guys, what do you adjust for a charging station in a garage? Well, it depends. I mean, how big of a deal is it in your area? Is it becoming more popular? Does a typical buyer, can you do paired sales analysis? Can you look at two homes side by side and say one's got it, one doesn't? What's the difference in value? No, I can't. I realize that paired sales are a thing of unicorns, right? They're elusive as Bigfoot. But the idea that you can ask a question about value, hey guys, what do you adjust for? Now, I am a big believer in the survey method, okay? But I'm not a big believer in the survey method across the nation. In other words, I'm a big believer if you're having a difficult time using regression or some other form or fashion of extracting a value for a certain thing. I'm a big believer in using the survey method, meaning you call 30 different agents in your area, that's a key, and ask them, hey, how much would you need to discount a home that's got a 1-car garage versus a 2-car garage in order to get it sold? Those kind of questions I think can be valuable if you have a big enough sample. But the bottom line is that is very unique to an area. It's very unique to a situation. And frankly, even in an area, it might differ between one neighborhood or another, or between one style of home and another. And so how do you answer this question with "it depends"? Okay, without a whole long process being involved? I want to share my answer to that question after I let you know a little bit about a great system out there called ANow software. Now, the nice thing about ANow, folks, in addition to it running my business and allowing me to be the business owner, is that it is accessible wherever I am, meaning I can pull it up on my phone. I can pull it up on a tablet. I can pull it up on a laptop. I can pull it up on a desktop. Anytime, any place I have any type of internet, I can pull up ANow software. Right now, I can quickly pull up this app. I'm doing it right as we speak. Pull up this app. I can sort. I can type in an address. I've got a full work file there. I can see the process. Oh, this has just been inspected. We're waiting for adjustments. Any report at any time. Someone calls my office and says, hey, what's going on with 123 any street? By the time they get done asking the question, my assistants have it pulled up and they have an answer for them. ANow software, folks. If you're not with them, you need to be with them. Check them out. Go to anow.com. It's ANOW.com. All right, folks, we're talking today about questions from other appraisers, from agents, from homeowners, from others. It may be about value, it may be about something else, but when the answer is it depends. And by the way, folks, the reason it depends is it really comes down to your marketplace. It really comes down to legality. It comes down to highest and best use. Let's take this example question that I gave you earlier. What about an accessory unit? What would you give as a value for an accessory unit? Well, how big is it? How finished is it? Is it legal? I see accessory units all the time. They're not even legal. People take a shed, a bully barn in the backyard, and they convert it into an office. Is that valuable? Did they pull permits? Does it even count? A lot of this stuff really comes down to the topic of highest and best use. Now, without getting too into the weeds about highest and best use, I want to stay on the surface today and talk about when you have to answer that question. Let's say you're in a home, and a homeowner says, hey, we're thinking about putting hardwood instead of this old carpet. What's that going to do to the value of my home? You've all been there. We get asked these questions all the time. And my answer is, well, you're not going to like my answer, but it depends. And here's the thing about it depends. If you will follow up with some education, with a teachable moment, right? This is where you shine as the expert. You've heard me say, be known and be known as the expert. Folks, this is an open opportunity to have a teachable moment with anybody that asks you this question, whether it be another appraiser, an agent, a homeowner, someone else. Folks, they're asking you because they look to you for advice. They look to you as somebody who knows the market. They look to you as someone who has the answer. So bottom line, there's nothing wrong with saying it depends if you'll follow up with some education. So this is how I would approach that. Hey, we're thinking about putting solar on our home. What do you think about that? Well, that's a great question. Thanks for asking. It depends. Let me explain why. Take 3 to 5 minutes and explain your answer. When you get done with that answer, you will be seen as someone who, number one, provided value because they asked a question, you answered the question. Number two, you provided education. They now know something they didn't know before. And number three, and this is most important, you're now the expert in their mind. If you weren't before, you are now. Folks, there's nothing wrong with saying it depends, but you've got to follow it up with some education. Speaking of education, would love to have you be a part of so much great information, education about being a better business owner, about being more successful, about having more time for yourself, making more money. Check out my website, theappraisercoach.com. Go to products and scroll down, folks. You will be blown away. Somebody asked me the other day, Dustin, how do you have so much time to create this content? Well, folks, I am passionate about what I do, and it's easy. It doesn't feel like work to me. I hope you'll join me. We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.